everyone, today I've got my Godzilla vs. Kong movie review. The Battle of the Titans hits the big screen. So who will end up winning this fight? Godzilla, Kong, or the audience? So as far as the story goes, after the events of Godzilla, King of the Monsters, Monarch wants to bring in Kong from Skull Island to take on Godzilla. Now, obviously, that was a no-brainer for the basic plot of this entire movie, because who wouldn't want to see this movie to begin with, because you've got the two biggest movie monsters of all time going head-to-head. For the first half hour of the movie, I swear, it focused solely on the human characters, and I feel maybe a bit too much for my liking. I mean, come on, that was literally, I feel like, less time than what they did for both Godzilla and Kong, and I'd say that was probably one of the more disappointing factors of this movie, because I was really looking forward to seeing this movie, obviously to see Godzilla and Kong, and I kind of knew what to expect going in because of how I sort of, you know, felt about the last couple of movies that they had with these characters in them. And I don't know how many of you would want to feel, watching this movie. Personally, I wanted to feel like I was on a roller coaster that didn't have an end in sight, and that is literally what I wanted to see going into this movie. But I did try that once at Six Flags 4 times in a row, and I eventually got dizzy. So I was a little bit worried about how it was going to be in movie form. But anyway, with this movie, it is one that could have benefited from having more action be seen on screen. And I feel like at times it takes someone creative enough to want to come up with enough scenarios for both Kong and Godzilla to, have to deal with. And it would have to obviously work and actually look good on top of it. And Godzilla and Kong, however, did have their moment to really shine. It still is kind of hard to decide which team I would be rooting for, because I do like both of them, to be honest, and I, was sort of hashtag Team Godzilla going into this movie. But I do feel like Kong had a lot more scenes going on in this movie, to be honest, because we had already seen the last 2 Godzilla movies before this one, and they only had one, which was Kong Skull Island. So, I mean, to be fair, they did really want to, make more room for Kong to have more of a developed character in this movie. I can understand that. Now, as far as the casting goes, like I kind of felt with Godzilla, King of the Monsters, I feel like the acting was it was okay. Because even though I knew a lot of the actors that were going to be in this movie, yeah, I'd be interested to see, what their characters are going to be like, because you have Rebecca Hall, who, is like this researcher type of person, but is pro-Kong, and she, ends up meeting up with Alexander Skarsgård's character, who, might kind of like her, or maybe just admire her, but not in a sort of I love you, let's kiss by the end of the movie kind of way. And it was actually, good to see that they wanted to sort of be heroes in their own way, but I was like, do I really care? Because I came here to see Kong and Godzilla fight. Billy Bobby Brown was also nice to see return in this movie since the last one, and I really loved her interactions with some of the other characters, like Brian Tyree Henry, who I felt like was a really awesome comedic relief in this movie. But I felt like my favorite character in this movie was played by Kaylee Hoddle, and she was the little girl in the movie that can communicate with Kong, and she's actually a deaf actress, so I felt like that had a little bit more of an advantage in this movie and sort of gave it a little something special to sort of root for. I felt like she was also remarkable as well, but everyone else was like, I could do without you once again. So the things that I liked about this movie was that it was fun and, of course, action-packed and intense, and it was a thrill ride from mostly beginning to end, and seeing two of the biggest, literally, monsters in movie history go head to head with each other. I mean, it was kind of like watching a mindless popcorn, flick, and, it was entertaining nonetheless. So it achieves that for a blockbuster movie like this, because that one moment where you see Kong and Godzilla duking it out, I felt like it hit differently than when I saw it in the trailer, and I was like, oh, that was intense. I felt like I was sitting front row to a giant monster boxing match, and I have to say that the visuals were awesome and just all made, every scene look really beautiful and stand out and just pop. I was worried at times for Godzilla and Kong from time to time, because I didn't actually want to see anything bad happen to either of them, even though I am Team Godzilla. And there is something that happens in the third act that was really cool, and I was only half surprised when it did happen because I kind of saw it coming. And even though that was the case, it didn't exactly ruin my reaction to the movie as a whole. But unfortunately, the things that I didn't really like about this movie was that, once again, the human characters suck out all of the enjoyment of this movie, which is disappointing because, like I said, I do like some of the actors, but there are a few stupid moments that I was just like, okay, I would have preferred not to see that, or there were jokes that didn't land well, and I did get confused with certain actions that were happening in the movie that made me wonder, which direction was this movie planning on going in? Because there's a huge difference between being predictable and unpredictable, and sort of trying to come up with something brand new and refreshing, but I was just like, what? So overall, I would say that this movie, it was pretty decent. I wouldn't say it was terrible, but I wouldn't say it was perfect either. But I would probably watch it again on the big screen, just because, it definitely had that effect on me watching it. Or you could watch it on HBO Max at home in the comfort of your own home. That's always a nice choice as well. I would still recommend seeing this movie. You guys can let me know, what team are you on? Are you Team Godzilla or are you Team Kong? And I would give this 3 hearts on the heart rate scale. So let me know in the comments what you guys thought of Godzilla vs. Kong. And as always, you guys can subscribe to my channel. I've got more movie reviews, movie updates, come back every week for a Child Thursday video. You guys can also like me on Facebook and follow me on Twitter. And I will see you guys later.